Sup everyone, another Sunday afternoon. I'm in a different room in my house today because my neighbour's cutting the grass, so apologies if the sound's a bit echoey. Going to be joined by Dean Lloyd Robinson, the man behind Knifedoutofexsitence, to have a little chat today when he gets on and joins in. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just kind of waiting for Dean to join in, and we'll get to it. I hope everyone's doing well, and yeah, I haven't really got a whole lot else to say really. I'm just waiting on Dean. Sorry. Here we go. 2 seconds. Now, so it should be with us momentarily. There he is. Hello.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I just realised I wasn't actually following this page, so I was waiting. Pop up. Like, it's not there. Yeah.
That's cool, man. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. How's lockdown been treating you?
It's really good. Like, I get paid, but I don't have to go music and the labels. Oh, oh, sorry, you froze there.
That's all. Yeah, my connection went shit. Sorry. So what have you been up to?
Loads of label stuff. I think I've put out 12 tapes since lockdown started.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like 2 batches on the label, and then like a kind of repress and a new knife DP and stuff. Yeah, I've just been fully immersing myself in noise world, basically doing all the stuff I want to do that I can't usually do. I have to go to work, so
Yeah. I was going to say, because like, that was kind of one of the reasons that I wanted to kind of speak to you, because I know that obviously like the label side of things, it's not like a side hustle, but it's always kind of something that you got sort of bubbling underneath. But it seems because of lockdown, it's been a lot more pushed to the forefront. So have you been able to focus on that and kind of push the direction you want it to go in a bit more?
yeah, I think, well, sort of like over the last year's the year that I really started in the label seriously for releasing other people's music. Before that, it
Yeah.
had been the vehicle for Night and then occasionally stuff. But it was last year was when I like decided to start doing regular batches, and then with lockdown, it's meant I've had a lot more time to organise. Also, it's meant a lot of people have had a lot more time to record stuff. Like, I think most noise heads, when they're like forced to stay in the house, are like, okay, like I'm going to get the mixer out and record a tape today. So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of people who've been able to like record stuff. So yeah, I've had more time to get the tapes ready to put out, and people have had more time to make the tapes. So it's worked out well for it, really.
And that's like the noise world in general is a little bit sort of above my remit, so I don't know like a whole lot about it in terms of like the ins and outs of it and stuff. But as you say, like this kind of situation kind of seems ideal for that because you've got the time to sit down and play around with things. So have you found that that's kind of what you've been doing with knife stuff?
Yeah, well, the Fragility EP that I put out, like the most recent knife thing, that was all recorded in lockdown. Like, I think I started that like the week before the like official lockdown came in place. But like
Okay.
as soon as I wasn't working, I was like, right, can't leave the house. Just like gonna knuckle down with this. So yeah, that whole EP from like beginning to end was recorded in lockdown. So yeah, that's it. Definitely, yeah. I was basically, because Lois, my partner, who is like, she's still working but working from home. So it's like when she's been waking up and going to work, I was like waking up and going to work on a knife EP. So I was working like 9 to 5 on that EP until it was finished. So which I wouldn't be able to do that usually. So
Has that been like quite an interesting thing for you then, like in terms of actually, not that you've never dedicated the time to it before, but like having almost sort of a structured time schedule in terms of putting the EP together?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's dream come true, really, because obviously in a real world, like that's what I would like to do. You know, it would be amazing to do music full time, but I'm aware that I operate in the niche of a subculture, so it's not necessarily the easiest thing to market as a career. So yeah, but being able to have that time to do it full time is it's great. I complain about having to go to work a lot, so when this happened, I was like, right, I really need to make sure I actually do what I say I would do if I didn't have to go to work. I kind of like wanted to prove to myself that yes, this is something that like, you know, I want to do. Like everything. I made sure that I wasn't being too hypocritical by then when I didn't have to go.
And are you still not back at work yet? Because I know like a lot of shops and stuff are open. So
yeah, no, I'm still not back at work. The shop has reopened, but with sort of like a skeleton like team of staff. Because they're operating as like a kiosk, so they only need like a few people basically, sort of like answering to customers at the door. So yeah, so I'm not back yet.
Okay, cool. And in terms of like, I guess as you say, like you've written the whole EP sort of during lockdown and stuff. Like, this is kind of a bit of my naivety in terms of like how like noise and stuff is put together. Like I get the basic concept of like you have a mixer, you have your tools and whatever, but like what did you kind of like, what were you kind of taking in influences from in terms of like song structure and things like that? And like, did you, because you had more time, did you have more of a scope to kind of play around with different sounds rather than being like, oh, this might sound cool, I'll whack that in kind of thing?
I was basically I sat down and was recording stuff, and then I recorded a whole bunch of stuff and then went back and sort of like picked and chose what I liked and sort of was like, okay, this would work with like, there's a bunch of field recordings on the last record. There was a lot of stuff that I was like, oh, that synth line would work nicely with this, like recording of waves or whatever. So it's like, yeah, for this, because I had more, usually I'm like, I have an idea in my head, I sit down, I record, like, I never really record much more than what I want, whereas I recorded a whole load of stuff and then like went back and listened to it and like figured out what would work. So yeah, I guess, yeah, because I had more time to record stuff and like be happy to just let it fall by the wayside rather than being like, right, I'm sitting down and recording, get this.
Yeah. And in terms of like your stuff, again, like, because of the noise artists that I'm kind of interested in and do listen to, like, it's only a very small handful. And I know obviously you're kind of very immersed in that world, but like every time that I've had the opportunity to see you live, like, it's not just like, I don't know, because it could be easy to get lost in just like you twiddling your knobs and things like that. But like you still put on quite a performance and you get sort of very like emotional and sort of into what you're doing sort of thing. So I don't know, because again, it's not a process that I particularly am familiar with, but is that something that you're putting into your music? Is that like, rather than it just being harsh noise that puts across that emotion, that the fact that you're putting yourself into it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, it's like Knife is like, it's deeply personal. Like everything involved in it, like, yeah, relates to like usually some kind of like mental health thing or something going on with me. So yeah, like everything I do with it is like incredibly personal and like isn't just like, obviously there's a lot of power electronic projects that are like around concepts and stuff, and more than often serial killers or whatever, which like, that's definitely not where I'm coming from. Like,
yeah,
like it's a very like personal subject matter. So yeah, if it does come across as being a more sort of like personal focused thing, and it seeming like there's a lot of emotion in it, that's good, because then it's, at least I'm communicating to people what I'm putting into it. So
yeah. So like on that, was there kind of anything that you were specifically focusing on with this new EP, or was it just again, because you had the luxury of lockdown, that you had more time to kind of think of what you wanted the direction to be?
I think, I mean, the title comes from when I did a podcast with my friend Roman when I was in America, and I'd said that like I never wanted Knife to come from like a show project or whatever. Like I always have that more kind of like fragile edge. And
Yeah.
then I think that was kind of the sort of like the jumping off point of me thinking like, why did I want it to have that fragile edge, and what is it about me that like relates to that, and yeah, why? So it was kind of a jumping off from sort of the idea of the fact that I wanted my music to have a sort of like broken kind of gentle quality to it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like a harsh thing. So yeah, that was kind of the starting point, was me thinking like, why did I want it to be fragile, and what does that say about me?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And something else that you've kind of been doing a lot more, sort of, well, obviously pre-lockdown, but obviously there was meant to be the collaboration set with Monolithian at Dreadfest. I think, no, I've seen you since then, but obviously at Dreadfest the year before, you did the stuff with Unyielding Love, and then obviously you were meant to go on tour with Cremation Lily. So like, is the collab side of things something that you're kind of more open to now, that because you've done the project more, or is it just the fact that because you've I guess kind of got comfortable with where you are with the project, it's kind of easier to sit it with other artists?
Yeah, I mean, in the case of both those three people, like Monolithian, that came about because they asked me to do noise for a record, and then post doing that, I'd done a couple of shows with them, and then like Unyielding Love and Cremation Lily are like, they're some of my best friends. So like, so with all those projects, they're like projects that I've had like a connection to for like a long time. So it's like, that seems natural. Like, I don't know whether I'd necessarily be like open to just like doing a collab with anybody now. Like, I think it's because I've done the project for so long and like formed these connections with people that like I'm happy to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Doing collabs with Unyielding Love is like second nature now, because their first show was opening for Knifed on some Irish Day years ago, so I've like basically watched them since the beginning, and like toured with them probably certainly more than any other band. So
yeah. And just like in terms of that, like, again, this is probably me coming from a naive point of view, but like, how does it kind of work in terms of like you collabing with somebody? Because like, I guess with Monolithian it's a bit different, because you say like it was, when the first instance, like it was written for a specific song, but if you're kind of coming into it from a performative kind of standpoint, like I guess if we take Unyielding Love for an example, whereas they've kind of got their set written, obviously they have noise elements themselves, like how do you approach it in terms of like slotting yourself into it, kind of thing?
Different collabs have been different. The first tour I did with Unyielding Love as a collab, I went over to Ireland about a week before the tour, and we like practiced like numerous times, like as a full band. So with that, it was like, that was all sort of like hacked out in the practice room, exactly sort of what they wanted and where they wanted, and then like I would give feedback on what things I thought would work well. So with the first Unyielding Love, it was done like you would any other.
Yeah.
I was playing contact mics and synths instead of a guitar. With the Monolithian thing, it was like, obviously it's like the Thought Out of Existence track. We know what we're doing with that because that's been recorded and that's on an LP. And then they sent me the rest of the set list, and then I just like listened back to the set list and like had it as like a playlist on my iPod and kind of played along. With that, I just figured out kind of what I thought with what I was going to do. I was going completely blind. So it was, with that, it was just, that was playing along to a playlist, figuring out what I wanted to do. And then the Cremation Lily code last year, that was very practiced as well. We spent a lot of time in the practice room figuring that one out.
So is it kind of, I guess it's like not a case of you turn up with like the sounds that you want to do and then layer it over it sort of thing. It's very much a kind of give and take sort of process.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, because yeah, when I work with other people, like I'm always very conscious of like it being their project as well, and not to like overstep their, like cover their art in my nonsense. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I've got Knifed Out solo project to do exactly what I want to do whenever I want to do it, however I want to do it. So when
Yeah.
I think because I've got that like totally self-indulgent like outlet when I work with other people, it's like also it makes it a lot more interesting for me. Like there's no point me just doing my thing on my own with somebody else there. Like if I'm working with somebody else, like I might as well take on board what they've got to hear, learn from it and stuff. Like yeah, doing a collab where I just literally plonked my stuff on top of somebody else's would feel a bit like pointless and boring for me because I don't think anybody would be getting. Yeah, and yeah, also if somebody already has a project or has a band and they want to add me on top of it, like they're presuming that obviously that's going to add something to it. So like I do want to make sure that if somebody has asked me to do like it's worth their time asking, and that I'm going to add something worthwhile to the music.
Yeah. And how long have you like? I'm trying to think now. How long have you been doing Knifed for?
In terms of recording, I can't exactly remember, but the first live Knife show was February 2013.
Okay.
So
like,
yeah, I've been playing live for just over 7 years.
Yeah. So in terms of that, because like I think I've even said it to you, like the progression from like seeing you back in the early days to where you are now is like a big sort of like change. Obviously, like you've changed kind of how you approach things. Obviously, your equipment has changed and things like that. But like apart from like the obvious, like what do you kind of feel has been the biggest sort of progression and change in the way that you have sort of approached the project?
I think with Zen from Page Lily, we've done 2 records together on Strange Rules. We did an EP and an album, and like Zen produced both of those records, so that was like taking material round to him. We'd sort of like add bits and take stuff away, and like he would add little bits as well. And the way him showing me the way he worked, like with my material, which was a very different way to how I worked, that gave me like quite a big insight onto obviously having somebody take your material and show you how you could shape it differently. Like I think that's probably one of the biggest things that's impacted me, because it was basically being taught a different way the same project. So yeah, having worked with Zen on that EP and that album definitely had a big impact. But also just having done it for like so long, and when I started like distortion pedals, and the first tour I didn't even have a mixer, I just had an amp that had lots of so like I went from like not even owning a mixer to like having a bunch of stuff that I like to a certain degree know what I want to do. And also like I'm firmly believe that like if it's an experimental project, like you should keep experimenting and stuff. So I never want to like feel like I'm like treading water for too long. So I think there's always been a conscious effort to like try and move on, develop, or like whilst maintaining the same sort of like spirit of the project. But yeah, the idea of like continuously moving forward is very central to it. So yeah, I do try to make sure that they change over the years. So
yeah. And obviously you mentioned kind of obviously like working with Zen and Cremation Lily and stuff, and obviously it's been rescheduled now, but you're meant to be doing the tour with him on some of the shows with the Ladder Speed tour, which on paper sounds fucking bonkers, because like
so did you see that Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance bought a bunch of noise tapes for Deathbed?
Yeah.
So that happened. So I had Mike texting me being like, yo, Gerard Way's got a Fleshlift tape. And then it was like Zen being like, yo, I'm going to go on tour with La Dispute. I was like, what is noise in 2020? Like, Yeah, like that was yeah. I think that felt very very weird. Yeah.
But like, obviously, I know it's been rescheduled now. But like, what was your kind of view and approach to that? Because like a Loud Dispute audience is a very specific kind of audience. So were you kind of going into it with the mindset of we need to win these guys over, or was it just like we're going to do our thing, and if they like it, they like it? Like, how were you approaching it?
Would I mean obviously Zen's worked with Lloyd Dispute. He did a remix of them on their remix record.
Yeah,
So like he's there's like a connection there. So I guess obviously the band themselves are already won over, I think. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was like because Zen's moved away now. Like I don't see him as often. It's like it was more like, do you want to do this and hang out? And I'm like, yeah, that would be interesting. Like, yeah, like I don't even know who Large Dispute audience is in 2020. Like I don't know who goes to those shows. Like yeah, like as in, oh yeah, I couldn't even imagine whether we'd win them over or how we'd win them over or how they would take, because I don't even know really who goes to those shows. Like
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like I haven't heard that band since like 2013. I'm sure they've probably done a load of stuff in like the last 7 years. And judging by the venues that like that tour was supposed to be on, or well, should be on in November, like they're big now. So
yeah,
like there's like I imagine there's like yeah a lot more people into that than when I saw them with like Throats in Bright. Like
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's like I don't know who those people are they've picked up in the last 7 years. So
Well, because
yeah,
the last time I saw them was when they did Arctangent 2 years ago, and they played not the main stage, but like the second like bigger tent, and it was just like completely rammed. And I was like surprised because I was the same. I hadn't really listened to them for a good couple of years, and I was sort of like, oh, people still really sort of dig and vibe this band. So as soon as I saw that Cremation Elite was on it, I was sort of like, oh, interesting. And then when you got added to a couple of the days, I was like, oh, this is going to be really interesting.
yeah, I mean, I guess I suppose like Zen was in a screamo band and stuff, and like I love screamo, and like so there is connection, sort of makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it does seem bizarre, and like that was the main appeal for me. It was just like, okay, cool. Like there'd be also like it would for those shows. It's me playing. It's not like Knife Down Cremation. It's like
Yeah,
I'll be like basically doing whatever Zen wants me to do for those songs. So like and yeah, Cremation Elite changed massively over like the past few years. So it does make sense more than like the early EP would have made sense touring with like this. But yeah, it'll be.
yeah.
I really hope that tour does go ahead in November. That would be a great return to music to go on that tour, because yeah, that wouldn't be like anything I've ever done before.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And something else that kind of like has become, I guess, quote unquote, the norm during lockdown is these kind of like live sessions and stuff that people have done. And you've done a couple, and it's something that I spoke to Sean about when I had him on, was like the concept of kind of, I guess like with a band it's different because like you can just plug in and play and things like that. But obviously, I know to an extent that is what you can do, but obviously your music is a lot more experimental and things like that. So how did you kind of find the idea of doing a live stream but not having an audience? Did you just kind of approach it as you doing a practice session? Did you kind of build it up as if you were doing a normal show? How did you kind of go about it?
Yeah, I basically figured out with the Fragility material like how I would do that live, and then because the release show stream for that was like it was like a pre-recorded thing that I played on Twitch. So I basically played the set as if I was playing live a few times and filmed it, and then picked my favorite one out of that. So it was basically, I guess, it was more like like running through the set in a room and just filming it. It was weird. I don't think live streams are something I'm probably going to do loads of.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not very technologically minded, and like I was really wrestling with technology to get it to work and stuff. So it's like that wasn't like, obviously wrestling with technology and trying to like get a laptop to work isn't a very creative process.
Yeah.
It was that side of it wasn't very like, you know, creatively satisfying, but like the sort of connection I felt with lots of people were really, really kind about that release show stream. So that was really cool. Also, that was the night I was supposed to be playing with Full of Hell at the Scala. So
Okay.
I was like, I was like, I was supposed to be playing the Scala, which like not many noise people get to play 1,000 cap venue. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not doing that. Like I need to play a show of some kind tonight. Otherwise, like I'd be very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like okay. It's like, well, I've never played 1,000 cap venue, but I've also never done a live stream before. So let's do that instead. And yeah, it was worth it in the end. Were super kind, and like I felt like really humbled that like people had taken time and like really listened and stuff. So that was kind. But yeah, it's a struggle. And then the other live stream I did was after all the George Floyd stuff had kicked off, and I was like, I don't want to be white man streaming right now. Like, because I say like Knife is so personal. Like, I was like, me screaming about my problems right now is like inappropriate, borderline offensive. So like I did, I played some of the spoken word from the movie Jamal Managed the Bastard Split. So I was like, you know, I'll play the words of a very intelligent, well-informed man like on police brutality rather than so the second live stream was very different because it was like that one was done by my friend Adam, who does Deadwood, who's not done a gig live stream or otherwise. When he asked me to, I was like, well, yes, absolutely, 100% will do it. But then on the morning, having looked at the news and stuff, I was like, oh God, I need to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like, and that was completely live streamed. So that was just basically set up and go. And so that one had, other than the forethought of like what sample I was going to play, that had very little kind of preparation or like that. Like, okay, right, I need to do something different really quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, the release show stream was very like prepared and like everything, and then the one with Dead was very last minute. So yeah, the two I've done have both been very sort of different experiences and different processes.
Because like obviously when you're sort of performing, as I've kind of mentioned, like there is obviously that personal kind of aspect to you, to what you're doing, and like not saying that you necessarily kind of like feed off an audience, because like it's not exactly people are like moshing or whatever to nice stuff, but like was it strange that
moshing in Grand Rapids at the last show I played?
Oh really?
Yeah, that was weird. There was like a bit of fist pumping and a bit of sort of swaying side to side, but yeah,
Fair play.
that was bizarre.
But like, was it weird like doing, I guess the Devil one a bit more because where it was sort of instantaneous, that you are playing for an audience but you're unable to sort of see and interact with them? Was that kind of strange experience?
I think like having people there just ramps up the intensity for me. So it's like I feel a sort of heightened sense of whatever by other people being there. So it's just weird because obviously going to gigs, even as poorly attended as Harsh Noise gigs are, like you expect there to be at least the element of other people there, whereas it's just weird, isn't it? So it's a very bizarre thing to be playing a gig, but not. Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah. And like, apart from the La Dispute stuff, like I know there was a couple of other things that you kind of had to cancel and postpone because of all this. So have you looked at rescheduling those at the moment, or is it still very much up in the air? Like where do things stand with that?
So obviously things are changing day to day, so everything's up in the air, but the plan is to reschedule as much as possible. So the La Dispute tour has been booked for November, so hopefully that will happen. The show I was supposed to be playing in Dublin before Unyielding Love went on tour with Napalm Death.
Mm.
I mean, the Unyielding Love and Napalm shows have supposedly been rescheduled for August, so I'll try and fly over for those. And if Stu from Luxury Mollusk was putting me out a show there, so if I can go to Ireland in August and it's possible to sort shows, then I'll try and play a show then. But the other lead show I was supposed to be doing after Dreadfest, we're going to try and reorganise that for one of the off days of the Star Dispute tour.
Okay.
Then the Satori tour, we haven't spoke about when we're going to try and do it again, but Dave from Satori is really up for rebooking it, and the promoters who are booking that tour seem to be up for it as well. So yeah, like there's kind of more the idea people want to do those shows again when it's possible, like other than the La Dispute stuff, like nothing has like been booked or announced or whatever. Is well, at the moment people don't even know what venues are going to, so like I don't even know how you go about trying to book a show right now when
Yeah.
you can book a venue. So yeah, I mean, hopefully all of it will happen again at some point, and that's the intention of everybody involved, but like it just depends on the logistics of whether that is actually possible or not.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Well, as always with Sunday, I put out and ask people some questions. So we've got a couple for you.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Shawnee Radicott.
Okay.
His token one that he seems to ask everyone: D beat or blast beat?
You can't choose. That's like. I mean, that's like also the best bands do both. Like, that's like the fundamentals of heavy music. Like that's kind of like making you choose between Napalm Death and Discharge, and like I couldn't. Like, and I will say that grind bands that are just straight blast the whole time, that generally loses interest. But I have got a whole bunch of like Z grade, like DB by numbers records, which I can enjoy.
Yeah.
Whilst I think they're both completely essential, and to remove either would be awful, just having a band that just does blast beats is probably more boring than a band that just does D beats.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That is a fair statement. The other thing he asked you, which probably makes more sense to you than it does me, is what's your favourite saturation, what type or what processor?
A tape saturation, and just putting it on the tape and then ripping it from the tape and then putting it back. Yeah, tapes.
Yeah, see, that made no sense to me, but it clearly did to you, so that's all that matters.
Oh, I've just seen Sean says give him the golden Linda, so
yeah, that was for your
the answer he was looking for.
Yeah. Cy Walker from Mono and other lovely projects said, can you give us your top 5 Lush recommendations?
Oh wow. Well, I've not worked the shop floor at Lush for a long time. I've just been stocked for like a few years now, so I've not been recommending people products in a long time. But my top 5: the Rehab shampoo.
Yeah.
The in whichever form you wish. Kalamazoo beard wash, Blue Skies bubble bar, and Curbside toilet perfume.
There we go.
Was that 5?
Yeah, that was 5.
Yeah, good. Yeah, there we go.
Damo Mapson said, when are you doing another grind band?
I mean, I just said a band that does only blast beats is boring, so I'm sure loads of grind heads have a band with me now. If the right people with the right attitude came along, I'd definitely do a grind band, but I'm not like searching it out, so I don't know. When the right people, I guess.
Because like one thing we haven't really sort of spoken about, but like body fluids, is that kind of like, is that still something that's kind of actively going? Because I think last time we spoke, you guys were trying to push it a bit more and then kind of wavered a little bit. So where's that kind of at the moment?
Well, 2020 was going to be the year we finally recorded the record. So the plan is like as soon as lockdown's over to have another couple of practices and record the record. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we've been a band for nearly 4 years now, and
Really? So that long? I
we'd
didn't
only,
realise. Fuck.
yeah, like Bodily Fluids like formed pretty much as soon as I moved to Brighton. I'm not. It might maybe even like we had this sort of like the basics down before I even moved. But yeah, so it's taken us to this point to get ready to record the album without having a global pandemic. So
Yeah.
like slow operating thing before something happened that made like bands and music almost impossible. So I mean, maybe hopefully if stuff, practice rooms start opening soon, we might be able to record before the end of this year. But yeah, the plan was to definitely by the end of 2020 have the LP recorded. But
Yeah.
who knows? Yeah. It's basically all there and written, but yeah, we just need to record it.
Cool. And final two questions come from Rob Day, and they're kind of on a similar slant, but I'm going to add something to the second one. But the first thing he asks is, because like obviously Knifed is very abrasive in terms of what it sounds like when you come across an audience that are purely like a bit shocked by what you do you enjoy that kind of reaction of shocking the audience?
I mean, if you play a show and like people are annoyed by it or don't get it or whatever, like there's a kind of novelty to that. Like if you've annoyed a sound engineer and you're like, oh, they didn't get it or whatever, like there's like a little bit of enjoyment that comes from that. But like, I'm not out to like, shock people really, because I guess if I was shocking people loads, it would mean I was either playing people that weren't familiar with that kind of thing, so didn't like it, or also like some of the like performances that have happened in the history of noise, like if I'd have to really, really, really bar high to like shock like noise people.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not about to drive a bulldozer through a wall, like, so, like if I was regularly shocking people, I'd have to be playing to people who weren't really into what I was doing. In that case, they'd be like, what would be the point? And if I was trying to shock people who were into it, like I haven't got the energy or the to like operate on the level that you'd have to be shocking to be like shocking to noise people.
Yeah.
So
I think Nick's just said, why not, Dean? I don't know what he's referring to.
I guess he's saying, why would I not drive a bulldozer through a base?
Oh, right, maybe. Yeah. Okay, yeah, why wouldn't you do that?
I guess just it's too soft, sensitive noise, isn't it? Like I'm not tough enough.
And the other thing that he asked, you kind of touched on it there, but as I say, I want to add a bit to it. He said, have you ever played in front of a crowd that doesn't get it? And like on that aspect, if you have, can you give an example of a show?
On the Water Tour, one show in Germany, we turned up mega late. All the support bands had played. I basically loaded in and played my set like within 5 minutes having got there. I finished, not a single person clapped, nobody said anything, and after about a minute people just slowly filed out of the room. Nobody on the tour left in the room. So like that's definitely the show that sticks in my mind, is just being people were just like, what was that? Like the fact that not one person said anything and not one person even like tried to clap or anything was yeah. But also I think that's also one of my favorite reactions I've ever had, because I didn't say anything when I finished, because I was like, I'm going to see how long this weird vibe goes for. It continued until there was no other people in the room to have the weird vibe with. So yeah, I mean,
that's pretty good.
Maybe they really got it and they were like, yeah, that's I don't know, like, but yeah, that's definitely I mean, presumably they weren't super stoked on it if they didn't even say anything or clap or whatever. Yeah, that sticks in my mind as the one time people really didn't get it. There was one on the Working Man tour. There was a sound engineer who, like, I brought my own PA on tour, so I could because like it was when I was doing lots of mic feedback and stuff, and people get worried about that sound system, which is fair enough. So it's like as much feedback through my own PA, but he wanted to mic it up, and then he was like, turn it down, turn it down, turn it down, and like we were doing alternate sets on that tour. So there was like every other night I was doing a set with Dom where he was basically playing synth, and then I was doing pretty much vocals and mic feedback, and it was like, all I'm doing is feedback right now, and you've got this so quiet that I can't get feedback. And he was like, people won't like it. I was like, whatever. He's like, they'll leave. And he's like, well, let them leave then. He's like,
yeah,
what's the point if people are just going to leave? And I was like, you're a sound engineer. You're not here to like argue the subjective nature of art with me. Like,
yeah.
Like, I just want to do my thing. If people don't like that thing, then fair enough. But yeah, that was another one, because it got beyond the point of us having an argument about volume and him being basically like, well, what's the point in the thing to do? And I was like, that was awful.
Have you had it quite a lot that where you've had like sound engineers like either just like flat out turning you down and not even telling you, or like during the sound check or something, being like, no, this is too loud? Because obviously, like what you do needs to be at a volume to kind of be appreciated, sort of thing. So
yeah, I remember on the first tour I did with Cremation LA, I was doing a lot of microphone feedback through the venue's PA, and the sound man did sort of come and like grab me by the shoulders and was like, you need to stop doing that now. But as Nick's just said, the prime example of that is Witch Cult. When were you there when we played a half an hour set at South Sea Fest?
Yes, yeah.
The person then was like, it's not fair on the next band, it's not fair on the promoter, like you've just been making noise for so ever long. And like they cut the PA, but Dom was luckily still doing noise through his cab, and it was like the only people left in the room were the promoter, the next band, and like Lloyd. So it's like, that was that. I think that's the only time where like the sound person's been like you need to stop this. It's and well, to the point that they actually did try to cut the PA boxes.
Yeah.
I guess probably on shows where I've been booked as Knife, the sound engineer's probably got at least an inkling more of like that kind of thing. Whereas South Sea Fest, like that was like a punk and hardcore stage. So
Nick's just said birthdays were trash talk as well.
I don't remember that, but that Working Man story I told you was about the sound engineer at birthdays. So, so I can't remember what particular show, but if it was anything like that, in that case, why did we book another show at birthdays if me and Dom were involved and we had a bad experience already?
Well, you live and learn.
Oh yeah. There we go. Alistair's just I remember.
Cool. But thank you for doing this, dude. Really appreciate it. How I've kind of been rounding up is because like the obvious people are missing shows and whatever, and I think like you kind of touched upon it at the very beginning. You're in a unique position where lockdowns kind of benefited you in some aspects.
Yeah,
but what's kind of like the main thing you're looking forward to, like kind of going back to quote unquote normal?
I mean, you said not about gigs, right? Other than gigs.
Yeah.
I guess going to coffee shops and like vegan restaurants, like like vegan junk food. Oh, also once lockdown's over, I'm going to go to Exeter to record the next Knifed LP with Zen.
Sick.
So that's still music related, but not playing shows.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
I guess going to coffee shops and eating vegan junk food probably.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you face to face at some point very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see you at a concert as soon as they're legal.
Yeah, man. Cool. Take it easy, dude.
Lovely speaking to you. Have a good one, dude.
And you. Bye.
Bye.